Okay, today our focus is going to be square roots. So I've written down 3 vocabulary words: square root, perfect squares, and radical sign, so that way I can define them before we start. Maybe as we work on, you'll become more familiar with these. Square root, basically what a square root is, a square root is 2 equal factors that equal a number. So 2 equal factors that equal a number. Okay. What does that basically mean? I mean like this. 5 times 5 are equal factors, and those equal factors would equal the number 25. So 5 and 5 are those equal factors. All right. What are perfect squares? Perfect squares are just basically squares of integers. So anytime that you use an integer, which is like a counting numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, -1, -2, -3, that's what we mean by squares of an integer. All right. And then the last thing that you're going to hear me or see me use is the radical sign. And I bet you may have seen this on your calculator already. It's right here. I also refer to that as the square root button on your calculator. So when you press that with a number, it'll give you that square root. And oftentimes, sometimes a perfect square will result. All right. So let's go ahead and do an example of it. So first example I have here is the square root of 64. So if I use my calculator, I could punch in square root 64 and it would punch out what number times itself, or what factor, 2 equal factors, would give you 64. I can also think about what number times itself will give me 64. So what number times itself will equal 64? Well, to answer that question, it's 8. 8 times 8 will give me 64. So I know that the square root of 64 is equal to 8, because 8 times 8 will give me 64. All right. Let me go ahead and show you another one. I'm going to show you square root 36. So think in your head, what number times itself will give you 36? Yeah, it's 6. So the square root of 36 is 6. It is also a perfect square because it's an integer. Because 6 is an integer, therefore it's a perfect square. All right. Then you're going to see this. You're going to see a plus, a minus, and then a square root sometimes of a number. Basically what that is telling you is this. It's telling you, hey, this answer could be positive or it could be negative. We don't know which one we're identifying with, but it could represent both. So, but still, again, I need to figure out what number times itself will give me 121. So what number times itself will give me 121? Yeah, 11. If I punch 11 times 11 in the calculator, I get 121. Notice the reason it has the plus or minus is because positive 11 times positive 11 equals 121, along with negative 11 times a negative 11 will also give me an answer of 121 that's positive. Whoop, forgot to put an equal sign there. So both of those equal 121. As a result, I would write plus or minus 11 for this one. Okay. Let me show you a fraction. We have the square root of 25 over 36. Only difference is that it's a fraction. What I need to do in mine is figure out what times what will give me 25, and then what times what will give me the 36 on the bottom. Well, we've already done 36 right up here, so we know that that's 6. Because 6 times 6 to give me 36. Hopefully you know that 5 times 5 will give you 25. So because these are your two factors, these are your two equal factors, 5, 6, that's your answer. So your answer is 5, 6. Right. Show you again, we have this one. This one is unique. Square root negative 16. Okay. A lot of you immediately notice, hey, 4. Okay, so if we take 4 times 4, I get a positive 16. But I don't want a positive 16, I want a negative 16. Okay, so that doesn't work. Oh, I know, negative 4. Negative 4 times negative 4. A negative times a negative is a positive. We know 4 times 4 is 16. So that's not my answer either, because negative 4 times negative 4 is 16. Oh, I know. 4 times negative 4. 4 times 4 is 16. A positive times a negative is a negative 16. So that must be my answer. Wait, I remember it has to be two equal factors. 4 and negative 4 are not equal factors. They're different. They're opposites. And because they're opposites, as a result, we don't have a number times itself that will give you negative 16. So what we do for this one is we write a no solution. All right. One last one I want to show you. I want to show you t squared equals 169. What I need to do on this one, this is an algebra one, I need to figure out what t, the value of t is. So what I have to do is I have to know how to undo a squared number. How I undo a squared number is I use the square root. So I'm going to use the square root of t squared along with doing the square root of 169. When I do the square root of t squared, I get t, because the square root and the squared cancel out, gives me t. What number times itself will give you 169? It's 13. So my answer is t is equal to 13.